Maximum News is a political satire podcast. The views expressed by the hosts or guests do not necessarily represent the views of the network or our sponsors. Also, it's very hard to talk about people like Ted Cruz without saying lots and lots of swear words. So maybe don't listen with the small little children persons. Welcome to Maximum News, everybody. My name is Michael Zampino.
And this is TJ Clark.
Kanye West watched 21 Jump Street, and he is no longer anti-Semitic.
Yeah, it's saving all the world, saving hatred.
I mean, a good comedy can really change the world.
Yeah,
you know?
It really can.
I'm not really sure what it was about the film other than Jonah Hill being Jewish.
Yeah.
So he saw a Jewish actor in a movie that he enjoyed and was like, you know what? Maybe I don't want them all exterminated.
I hated the whole people, but Jonah
Hill is
cool.
funny.
Maybe they're not so bad.
Wow. I did not see that one coming this
right?
week.
Yeah, and that was the first, my daughter sent me that screen grab. That's the first thing I saw this morning. Waking up, Kanye he's not anti-Semitic anymore thanks to 21 Jump Street.
When I saw it, I was like, this is a bit. This is like a mock account or something, or like, but
Jonah Hill hacked this account.
It seems real, right? It's real, yes. Yeah. I mean, wowie zowie. It was very funny. I will give it that. Did you like the movie?
I did like it. I liked it a lot more than I expected to. Yeah, it was well made.
It was, and I think they did a good job of saying, "Look, we're going to pretty much go completely away from the source material and just make a super fun comedy, while having the same premise, sort of." But the source material is not really there.
The new one kind of recognized how ridiculous some of the older premise was. Yeah.
But man, did I watch the shit out of that original show.
Dude. Yeah. I loved, Johnny Depp and Richard Grieco, was he in that show?
I believe it was also Michael oh God, what's the DeLuise, right?
Oh.
One of the DeLuise kids was in there. I think it was Michael DeLuise.
That's right. Was it Peter DeLuise?
It was Michael or Peter.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one was in it. I think it's Michael and Peter.
One of Dom's kids.
Yeah, of the laughing till wheezing DeLuises.
Dom DeLuise. I used to just love all fat comedians, like no matter if they were actually funny or not. So I was like,
it was Michael.
DeLuise. Oh, okay.
Michael DeLuise, known for 21 Jump Street. Oh, and he was also TJ in Gilmore Girls.
Oh, look at that.
And he was also the mean kid in Encino Man. And he was one of the wasn't he one of the Wayne's World? Yeah, he was the Wayne's World guy. Do I frighten you? Do you want me to?
That is hilarious.
I think that is him.
What about Peter DeLuise? What did he do?
Peter DeLuise was let's see. Oh, he was also, wait, hold on a second.
Is he also in 21 Jump Street?
Joey Penhall in 21 Jump Street is what it says for Michael DeLuise. But then I click on Peter DeLuise, and he was Doug Penhall, so they were both in it.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. That's wild. Okay, cool. He was in Stargate, I guess. He was also in Stargate. Career.
I wonder why his name came to me first. How do I know Peter DeLuise more of the DeLuise brothers?
People right now are like, I thought this was a political podcast. Solar Babies, that's one of the ones I remember. That shitty movie. Man.
I mean, hey, like if this movie is going to cure,
he was in The Facts of Life for one episode.
Okay.
He was in 21 Jump Street, Highlander the series, Street Justice, one episode of Friends.
It's a solid
Stargate.
career.
Yeah, a bunch of Stargate stuff.
All right.
He was in a nice little movie called Between the Sheets in 1998. That sounds like a fun romp. Anyway, thank God for 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, for sure. I used to think that, like, did you think there was narcs, like, in your school? Did you think there was, like, undercover cops?
No. Yeah, no. When, at our age, you could tell who was a teenager, whereas, like, back then, they just cast everyone in their mid to late 20s as teenagers. Yeah, so it was like,
that's a good plan.
So that you could buy one of them being, like, this 30-year-old being a teenager.
They still do that, though.
They still do. Yeah, it's true. Okay, so let's get into it. This week, Trump tweeted that there would be death and destruction if he was indicted for a misdemeanor, which is pretty fucking wild. And it's really hard to argue against that being, insightful. Insightful rhetoric.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, right after he said that, the next day, the DA received a death threat in the mail with an unknown white substance in the envelope.
Yeah, the very next
saying,
day.
quote, Alvin, I'm going to kill you. So, cause and effect, I believe we have.
Yeah.
I mean, this particular tweet and this series of tweets calling him a quote, Soros-backed animal.
Yeah.
Number one, that's you... With 3 words, Soros-backed animal, you've been racist towards black people and anti-Semitic in 3 words. High level of difficulty. Wowie zowie.
Yeah.
But it's this particular round of tweets is, in my opinion, worse than the come to January 6th will be wild.
Yeah.
This is even more inflammatory, more insightful.
Yeah, this is direct.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the dude's really like, I got away with it this long. Like, at this point, I'm just rallying the fucking troops, you know? And we discussed last week how, I think he pictures them, tying chains to the side of a jail and pulling him out.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is going to happen. But I also wanted to just very quickly dip into Trump's, he keeps wanting to, call Stormy Daniel horseface, and basically laying the groundworks for people to believe that he would never have fucked her.
Yeah,
and I think we dipped into that briefly last week, and I don't think anybody on earth is going to believe that Donald Trump passed up that window.
Yeah,
there's no
every single thing we know
fucking
about him.
way. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
But it's just a very typical Donald move. You know, he's done it before with
literally everyone.
Well, and I'm trying to think of I'm trying to be respectful and think of the lady's name, and I can't remember it. But she's the one that has the rape lawsuit that I believe is still even pending.
Yeah.
And how he came out and was like, "Oh, she's not my type.
Yeah.
She's not my type. I would never sleep with her. She's ugly." I'm a fucking 10. I'm the epitome of manhood. It's so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck him for that extra. But there's literally, I don't know. When these indictments come down, because now I think it's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
When these indictments come down, I just hope that it is as little a reaction as we have. The good news is, and I'm wondering if Alvin Bragg's delays this week, because we thought they were meeting several times this week.
Yeah.
And they kept delaying. And I'm wondering if
they met like once, right?
I believe they had one meeting.
Wednesday,
yeah. And they were supposed to reconvene again to decide on and vote to hear more things and then actually have them vote. I'm wondering if the delays were to sort of, because after Trump, he sent that tweet out, I believe, on like a Saturday, right? That he was going to be arrested on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. So, you got Alvin Bragg, he's got Saturday night, he's got Sunday, and he's like, you know what? Let's see how many people show up for this protest that he's calling for, right?
Yeah.
And because they had already called for extra security, they'd already brought in stuff. So they're like, we're prepared for these people to show up. Let's see how many people do.
Yeah.
Spoiler, Not many.
Really?
No,
Wow,
I
I never
believe
heard.
they said that the high count one day was around 15 to 20.
That's hilarious. That is so funny.
15 to 20.
It's like his attendance
Not
at his
1,000.
Tulsa rally.
Not 1,000. Not 100.
Double digit.
15 to 20. Stop.
And that's in New York City, right?
Yeah. Manhattan. The man's like his turf, like
Yeah.
his city, right? Now he's living in, he loves Mar-a-Lago, but now that DeSantis and him are like, he's now like, God damn it, I got to live in this guy's state because I can't go back to New York.
Yeah.
Because he's been pretty much unofficially like, what did they used to do back in the day where you kick somebody out of town? What's it called? Where you're, oh Jesus. I can't think
want
of
to say excommunicate, but that's like a
exiled.
Exile, there you
Right?
go.
Is it exiled?
Yeah.
He's been exiled essentially from New York, especially like doing business. For the most part,
Oh, yeah.
everybody in New York's like, nah, dog.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah.
We've been done with you since the 80s. That's when he started getting money from the Russians.
Oh man.
So let's see. What else? Okay, so Tacopina. Tacopina is Trump's new lawyer.
Yeah, you mean the rounds, right? The TV rounds?
Hey, Tacopina. Yeah, he went on, he's been on a couple of shows. He went on Ari. We talked about that last week. And then after Ari, they found a clip of him on CNN 5 years ago talking about how there was a case here. And at the very end of what he says all this stuff about how it's a crime and how, there's the case here. And then he wraps it all up by saying, if that is indeed the case. And now he's using that as his out, as he's like, Ari, you heard? And now I said, if that is indeed the case.
Yeah.
So he went on Chuck Todd today. Today as we're recording this, not today as you're hearing this. And was saying that he's like, you heard me say, if that is indeed the case. And Chuck said, well, what have you learned since that has changed your mind? And in a typical shitty lawyer, he goes, the facts.
The facts, period.
The facts, period.
Can you list those?
Exactly. But at one point during the interview, something that I found interesting was that he talked about how this is only being brought up because it's Trump and no one else in the world would be actually prosecuted for this particular crime. But then he was very quick to try and silence anybody that would come out and go, well, what about John Edwards, motherfucker? He
Yeah.
was literally, this is like very much almost the exact same thing. But his big thing was that, no, that's different because that money came from a donor. This money came from his lawyer.
Oh.
I'm sorry, buddy, but that's a bit of a reach as far as that being like a difference of legality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It still came from an outside source to affect an election. And the John Edwards payment, I believe, was at least a year or more before the election.
Oh, wow.
And
That's right.
and it basically was, came out that it was way more. It was almost entirely to keep his wife from finding out and not to try and keep the election influenced.
Yeah.
And whatever. If it was to influence the election, he should have been fucking convicted. Fuck him forever. Whatever. He also cheated on his wife, so fuck him for that too.
Yeah.
That's not cool. Don't do that shit. But he. So yeah, he was very quick to try and bring that defense of like, oh, John Edwards, it's not the same, but it's very much almost worse because his payment was days before the election.
Yeah.
Days.
Yeah.
Not weeks, days. Like within a week, I'm pretty sure.
Definitely to keep.
And I'm pretty sure it was single digit days. So if it was over a week, it was under 10 days. I'm almost positive. That's definitely less than a year or more.
Yeah. Intention's clear.
My gut wants to say it was almost 2 years in the Edwards thing, but I might be wrong there, so I don't want to say that long. But I'm willing to say positively that it was over a year before the election.
I remember that.
The other thing that he said in the interview was he kept trying to say that this was different because these were personal funds, that he used personal money to reimburse Cohen, who chose to use his personal money from his home equity loan he took out to pay this. And he kept using that and kept using that. And finally, Chuck Todd brought up, but the money came through the Trump organization. And he's like, everything, yes, that's Trump. And Chuck was very quick to go, so you're saying that everything done through the Trump organization is directly from Trump? Yeah. He goes, oh, no. Because he almost opened up a real fucking can of worms there, because the Trump organization was just convicted of criminal behavior. Yeah. And if everything that the Trump org does is directly from Trump and from his personal funds... Then whoopsie daisy, Tacopina. I mean,
hey, Tacopina. It should be said after every time.
Yes. Yeah. Oh man, we need to make that a sound. I need to get just an instrumental of Macarena and then just record us going, hey, Tacopina. So yeah, that's a real fuck up almost, Yeah. And you're getting into the point where you've muddied the waters so much with there's so many different cases, number one. But even within each case, there's so many different lies that you've muddied the waters to the point where when trying to form a defense for one thing, you might incriminate yourself on the other case.
Yeah. When you have this web of lies, I'd like to think that there's probably, if not presently, real soon, a very interesting class in law school that's just focused on the weird shit that Trump lawyers have done.
Oh, right? There has to be.
His lawyers specifically, from Giuliani on to throughout all the election stuff and this stuff.
Oh yeah, there's at least going to be
wacky and said some of the craziest shit, and they get away with it a lot of times.
Well, and you're right. It's almost guaranteed that it's going to be part of a course because so much of it caused unprecedented cases to be brought forth. Totally. So, you're obviously when you're just studying case law, you're going to study precedent. And when precedent is set,
completely changed.
And so, we've set precedent. We're setting new precedents for especially laws when it comes to the executive branch.
Yeah.
And especially now between the executive branch and the individual states, because you've got federal and state charges involved with all these different crimes.
Yeah.
So if it's not going to be a whole class, it's definitely going to be like a part of a course. It's like a whole semester. Yeah, it could be an entire class. What not to do while president.
Tactics and failures.
What else? He got a couple of setbacks in other cases. On the January 6th case, the executive privilege claims by like a dozen people that said they didn't want to testify. Scavino, Mulvaney, Stephen Miller, quite a few others. A federal judge said, "Nah, dogs, you got to testify."
Yeah.
We're still waiting to hear about Mike Pence. They didn't say whether or not Mike Pence, but they did say about all those other people. There's quite a few others. So the executive privilege claims have been squashed. That's a big deal. They're now going to have to most likely testify.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that can be kicked up to the Supreme Court or not. But if it can, we might be fucked.
For sure.
But also in the Mar-a-Lago documents case, a federal judge said that the attorney-client privilege has to be waived.
Yeah, because they were committing crime.
Because of the crimes. It's the crime fraud exception is the actual term for it.
Yeah.
So that means that, yes, anything you say to your lawyer is privileged unless the thing you say to your lawyer is in the furtherance of committing a crime.
Then your lawyer is now a co-conspirator.
Correct. Yeah. And they can be compelled to testify or face the consequences themselves. Now, what's going to be fun is seeing whether or not this guy pleads the fifth.
Yeah.
And if your lawyer is pleading the fifth to avoid self-incrimination, we've said it how many times before?
If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Oh, that's such a good question, Donald.
That is a good one. That's going to be used a lot, I have a feeling.
And then the one more thing that I had written down, and then we'll move on to local stuff about the Tacopina interview. Is he kept repeating over and over again how there was no crime here. There was no crime here. This whole endeavor with Michael Cohen and the payments, there was no crime here. And then they had, I believe it was Preet Bharara came on, and he said something I found very interesting, which was he keeps saying this, that there was no crime involved with this payment. However, Michael Cohen pled guilty. His attorneys allowed him to plead guilty.
Yeah.
The DA brought the case in which he pled guilty. So they all, the DA, the judge, the lawyers, all saw a crime here.
Yeah.
And someone pled guilty and did time for a crime.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty tough argument to make.
Totally. Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Like, why did I do time? Says Michael Cohen.
Yeah. If there was no crime here,
Yeah.
they should be arguing that they should be, vehemently saying that Michael Cohen should have never been in jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
But they're not doing that.
No, because
They're just trying to discredit him. Yeah. Anyway,
you mentioned Pence and money. Didn't Pence change his rhetoric on Trump or January 6th recently? I felt like he condemned. Maybe in a couple of weeks ago now. But
he very lightly condemned Trump with January 6th again, which he's kind of always stayed a little bit true to.
Yeah.
Saying hey, it wasn't very chill that he tried to get me killed, but I don't think he should be in jail.
That's what I heard. He was like, "Hey, this was wrong.
It was not cool.
We shouldn't charge him for it."
Yeah,
weird.
That's some weird cuck shit.
You're just trying not to be exactly. You're just trying to not make your people mad.
Yeah. Well, he's probably trying to keep from getting assassinated.
Yeah, that too.
He's like, I want to tell the world that this guy really fucked up, but I also don't want to die.
Also, living's cool.
Yeah, living is pretty chill too. He likes to go home to mother. Ew. You're married. Could you imagine calling your wife mother?
No.
No. Be gross, right?
Yeah.
Icky.
I mean, I don't.
I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum,
exactly.
but ew.
Coming from a person like Pence,
that's why it's yucky.
Yeah.
That's why it's yucky, right? It's always yuck. Here's my thing: never kink shame unless the person you're kink shaming, their whole bit is basically trying to outlaw other people's kinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you're trying to make laws against sexual orientations, you're allowed to be kink shamed. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's gross, Mike.
You've lost your right.
Yeah, Mike, you grosso.
you mommy pervert.
Fucking perv. Oh God. Anyways, that's most of what I had. Now let's get into some of the local stuff. The Oklahoma State Board of Education voted to enact new restrictions on school library books and sexual education Thursday, despite disapproval from the state's attorney general.
Yes, so there was a meeting on Thursday, and leading up to this meeting, everyone's favorite tantrum thrower, Ryan Walters, sent out a release before
everybody's favorite front seat tantrum thrower,
saying that the issues would reach a boiling point. So he's already stoking fires before the meeting even starts, and then he's got his
trying to draw attention to it.
Yeah, he's got his number one fangirl in the audience who gets to come up and speak in support of him.
His own personal Candace Owens.
Yeah, and kind of the three things at hand are very big things, and they're very big. Just so many things like parental rights, privacy rights for children. But the main three they voted on was the library books, right? So, of course, now there's this new system that they are going to do or have to do where the board gets to review every school's book, and if they see one they want off, they have to take it off or they lose their accreditation. And librarians are mad because their literal job is book selection, and now they get to their selection gets to be questioned and ridiculed by people who don't have a master's in library services.
Essentially, it's going to wind up where they're just going to be given a list of what they can have.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the books you can have.
Because and you've heard, and it's all it takes is one parent to complain about a book, and they'll remove it from the shelf and or face again losing accreditation. So that was part of it. Another one was about sex ed and when they can teach sex ed and allowing children to opt out. That one doesn't have as many controversial things about it. The one that bothers me personally is it's now a teacher, if a teacher knows a kid is going by different pronouns or is possibly identifying under a different gender, they have to notify the parents, which is
So here's the scenario where this is problematic.
Yeah.
Right? You've got a kid who lives in a home. They know they're trans.
Yeah.
They live in a home where their parents I don't know, listen to people like Ryan Walters, or Kevin Stitt, or many of the other people in this state, saying that transgender people, that transgenderism needs to be eradicated.
Yeah.
Right? So they're living in a home with parents who listen to that and believe that, and they feel that they could be in legitimate danger from their own parents if they were to know about this. But that child has found solace in a counselor or a teacher that they like and they trust.
Yeah.
And they've come out to them because they need someone to know who they are.
Yeah.
And that teacher or counselor would then be obligated to go tell that hateful parent about that, thus putting that child in danger.
Absolutely.
That's so fucked up beyond belief.
It's just like lighting a match and setting it and like throwing it at their home, you know, like their home situation and making this kid.
To say that you're trying to protect children, but do something like this that you know for a fact would cause children actual harm, you're a real fucking monster.
Yeah.
And Ryan Walters is a genuine piece of shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And not even like just telling a teacher directly, like what I think is a dynamic that's interesting in schools, and we talked about having a teacher on the interview because I would love to hear some, and I've got friends that have heard some of these stories, but like, so students, right? Like their peers are usually the first to know. They're coming out to their peers as they're realizing their gender might be different
because it's who they trust most.
So like their peers.
My son came out to his friends first because he trusted them.
Yeah,
he knew it was safe. Absolutely, yeah.
So then your peers, or your friends, because they love you, they're now using your new pronouns and trying not to dead name you. So like sometimes it's not even directly to the teacher. Sometimes
they just
like
hear
the students are respecting each other and they're using the correct names and correct pronouns.
That teacher's like,
and then
I'm gonna go narc on you.
Yeah, then it's like, so it just sets up so many weird situations that make it now uncomfortable for someone not just to come out to their teacher, but to even their friends, right? Because
more importantly, it makes it dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
it's so scary for these fucking kids, man.
When I was growing up, there was a person who I knew who got, I'm sure a lot of people know, who got kicked out of the house just for being gay. Like they found out their teenage son was gay and kicked him out of the house. Like, and that's like, that still happens. You know, that is still happening. If there, and he was, I forget how old he was when he came out. I think it was like 15 or 16. But like it's happened. It happens in Oklahoma. I don't know the statistics. I'm sure like
that's
Equality
lifelong trauma
for
that poor child.
And a kid, like they should be allowed to decide when they tell their parents if they know, and they're old enough to know that their parents are not going to like this, but they know that this is who they are.
Right.
Then they should be allowed, if they even want to tell their parents at all. They want to wait till they're fucking 18 and leave the house. Yeah. Like let them, you know, like. You learn to survive as a kid when you're in a volatile household and your parents have different beliefs than you, you know, and like part of that silence is just like not talking about it, you know, like
and even that at that point, you know, just being silent is in a sense forming their own sense of autonomy of like exactly. This is mine, you know, and this is mine to tell when I'm ready, and I can tell who I want when I want, and that's up to me to choose.
Yeah. And well, as a parent, I can't even fathom like my kid telling me something about who they are and me being like, no, that's not.
Yeah.
That's not you. You know, I just can't even imagine it. Like my kids will have, I had a kid who was very actively involved in the church. I've never been, like I have a lot of problems with some of the organizations that she was involved in. And now she's not. She learned her own lessons from it, you know, but, but as a parent, you have to let your kids like find out who they are and go down these paths. And of course, if there's something that's actually dangerous,
you like
you provide safety for them or answer their questions or whatever. But like something like that it's just the danger is them not being able to who they are, right? Yeah. The danger is like forcing them to change or to feel shame about who they are.
Yes, forcing them to either feel like they need to change, forcing them to feel like something is wrong with them, forcing them to feel like they are broken or incorrect.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know this is not the same at all, but I remember something as little as when I was growing up, the prevalence of Christianity here. And I remember when I first started to feel like I might not believe any of this, like I might not have faith.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like something was wrong with me.
Oh yeah.
I remember feeling like, no. You have to believe in something or you're broken.
Yeah.
That's wrong. No one should be made to feel that if they don't feel the way others feel, that there's something intrinsically wrong with them.
Yeah. You got to be
because
like
that was traumatic for me.
Oh,
it caused me to like go to all sorts of different churches that I would have never stepped foot in because I felt like I needed to find my faith. You know, I would have never gone to fucking Guts Church.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know how many times, because my parents never took me to church as a kid, but I learned quickly, like, because kids start asking you if you're saved, and you're like, "Were you saved? Where were you saved at?" And
Eleanor's already dealing with
it. Yeah, oh yeah. Scout dealt with it really early. Yes.
6 years old, and these shitheads are already. She went to a thing at this aftercare program she was at, and we let her stay for this thing where they had these college kids come, and you know they were like, "Oh, they just do activities and they play and they do this." And they said they're from ORU, and I was like, super skeptical, but it was like, okay, her friends are going, we'll let her go because it's fun.
Yeah.
That same fucking night, she came home and was like, said something, I don't remember what it was, but it came up that, oh no, God and Jesus made me.
Oh yeah.
And I said, who told you that? The people at the bridge. We're not going to the bridge anymore.
Yeah.
6 years old, they're trying, and they
get mad about indoctrination.
And they called us groomers and indoctrination. That is the textbook definition of indoctrination.
Absolutely.
If you look up what indoctrination means, that you are implanting these things on children, other people's children, motherfucker. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that made me the most mad is I'm like, you did not have my permission to push your religious beliefs on my child.
Yeah,
and if I had an activity where I was pushing Muslim beliefs or atheism or
law against
they would fucking shoot me in the head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. It's insane. Yeah. I was so angry.
Yeah,
I was
I
so
do
angry.
not blame you. Yeah. I can't believe. I remember my youngest. She was in. Man, I don't remember exactly. She would correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was in first or second grade. She was very vocal about not believing in God. Like she was very like I wouldn't say proud of it. She was like fucking 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, like it was just something like that she knew she didn't believe in, but like she knew that people around her did. But she didn't have any shame in it. She just like talked about it. But like she quickly developed weird shame about it because of how people would react when she would speak openly about it. And I remember she was telling me a story one time. She was in the bathroom. You know how the bathroom is in elementary school. It's like it's always like an event kind of. Mm-hmm. So she's in the bathroom and she's like, I think she went there to cry. She said about some unrelated thing.
Sure.
So she's in the bathroom just like having a private moment, and she sees some kids come in, like two girls come in, and like they notice someone's in there, and they were like, the scout didn't recognize their voices, and they asked, hey, who is there? Who are you? And then Scout said her name. She's like, it's me. It's Scout. And they said, oh, are you the one that doesn't believe in God? Like they didn't even know who Scout was, but they knew that they immediately associated her as the kid at school.
The
who
outcast.
doesn't believe in God. Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's fucked up. It's fucked up.
And they were in elementary school.
And this is indoctrination. Yeah. Those kids have been indoctrinated.
Yeah. There's more I want to say on this.
No, please.
An interesting week, though, because TikTok was at the Capitol, I think, answering questions.
We forgot to even bring up that hearing.
Because I can't help but feel like it's connected, and it's I know it's a hot issue because all the China, where there's like all kinds of obvious things with China, obvious conflicts, for sure. China's trying to spy on us, trying to do this other stuff.
Yeah, and it's like owned by a company that spies on people.
But also, literally, exactly. Yeah,
like that's what they do.
But so does every one of them. Like,
sure.
Like all of them do. But anyway, but I can't help but feel like the more conservatives, especially, love it because they know that's where their kids are getting these new ideas. That's where their kids are learning the injustices in their present states and cities and households, because finally, like, there's a direct face, and then people, their peers, their age, like, so like, what drives me crazy is like they act like teachers and librarians are teaching these kids these things. It's their peers. They're learning it from their peers because it's. TikTok allowed people, all the other social media, I mean, you know what it is. I don't have to explain how social media works, but like, but I think that's why they're attacking TikTok because it is a huge source of
information.
I know misinformation again everywhere, not just TikTok. Everywhere is the thing, but it's also educating people about real issues. I've learned so much about ADHD, from TikTok.
One of my favorite things is telling the kids, where to get the banned books.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, it's weird that that's going on at the same time. Well, not weird. I mean, it's obvious why it's in the pop culture discussion.
You know that shit's a little murky though when the CEO is asked, does your parent company use TikTok to spy on the American people? And his answer is, I don't know if spy is the word I would use for it.
Yeah.
That's not the answer people want to hear, my friend.
You should have had a better response to that. For sure.
That was not the right answer.
Define spy.
I can't full on say with certainty that he was wrong.
Yeah.
But he wasn't right. It wasn't the right answer. I know that. I know that.
I knew what he was trying to say, but
it
also,
was not the right answer.
Dude, everyone hates you right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because even
here's my thing. I see the things about it because I always boil it down to what the fuck do I care if they're spying on me? I don't really have anything, worthy of the Chinese government. They're not getting anything from me other than trying to sell me more socks or something, which Bezos does all the time. That's already fucking happening. But the idea of them using it to spy on journalists and stuff like that I do find problematic. So therein just comes regulation, not banning.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they're trying to ban it, not regulate it.
Yeah. Straight up. Yeah, exactly. Tighter regulations.
Absolutely. If there's issues with it, then you regulate it so that they can't do those things. But the fact that you're trying to get rid of it outright, that's an ulterior motive right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels very fishy for sure.
And it's necessary because some of it is you can watch a TikTok video and think that it is progressive propaganda, but it's just a video of someone talking about how you should have compassion for people and use their pronouns, So anyway, but then you have people like Ryan Walters who at a board of education meeting is still on the campaign trail apparently, because even though you're at an official meeting talking about actual school rules, he brings up people like George Soros and Joe Biden like they have any.
Yeah, we have an actual audio clip of that. Let's go to that.
It sounds like the campaign trail, but this is just
this is Ryan Walters
meeting with the boss.
This is the superintendent of schools.
That's what Oklahomans want for their kids. They want kids to be empowered, and they want kids to be prepared for the workforce, not become a target of radical woke indoctrination from the minds of Joe Biden, George Soros, and every other woke radical in the country.
Now, how at least one person in the room didn't erupt in sarcastic laughter is beyond me. There wasn't at least an eye roll or a get a load of this guy look. Those people in that room were not fazed by the insane thing that came out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm. He was playing to the cameras. He wasn't playing to anyone in that room.
That's what I've always said. And you can go back and look at my social media. I've been saying for a long time, every time Ryan Walters would put out a video, I would immediately comment, everything you do is theater.
Yeah.
Everything you do is theater. This is not real. You're playing a part. You want to be famous. You want to be, you want to be a Tucker Carlson.
You like your name out there. You like the likes, all that normal, social media, serotonin bullshit. He's just doing it.
He wants to work his way up the ladder. Yeah. He wants to be Kevin Stitt. He wants to be, all these fucking shitheads. And he's doing it at the expense of our children and their education, and more broadly at the expense of public education as a whole.
Yeah.
Because as we've said it once, we'll say it a million times, you got to keep them stupid if you're going to keep them voting against their own best interests.
Yeah. And I will say, I want to give credit to this story is from KJRH website, and the reporter Samson Tamajani, who is one of their newest reporters. He even, and this was approved by manager stuff, called it a rant in his script. He was like, Ryan Walters' rant, which was good. Again, it's I love journalists who
call it like it is.
Yeah,
yes.
This wasn't a productive speech. This was a man ranting at a meeting. Yes. Yeah. And it's good to see reporters using language to call out what it is.
Yes.
So anyway, big ups to them. And that soundbite was from a package they did. So anyway.
Yeah, and this, it goes on. It also showed, he brought along Elena Ashley.
Yeah, there's just somebody in there of her where she's just literally waxing his car.
Yes, and in my opinion, Elena Ashley is Kevin Stitt and Ryan Walters, Candace Owens. But if Candace Owens was a fucking idiot, because this lady is,
she was notorious for being the holdout vote on something big, and I don't remember what it is now.
Something that even the other crazies were like, this is fine.
Yeah.
It's so nuts.
It's weird that like school board meetings used to just be ignored, and now we record like every single one of them because you never.
You have to.
Yeah. And it's good.
Yes,
and it makes me like upset as a parent that I wasn't more active in watching more. Because we're now paying attention, but like how much shit have they gotten away with over the years that it could have like not got to this if we were more active beforehand.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and you have the fact that we live in a country where a lot of working parents that are very involved in their children's lives can't be as involved in the school board meetings because it's prohibited by their work schedule.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
can't be present for these things to be the dissenting voice.
Yeah.
I know I personally can never make these things.
Yeah.
Even if I want to, because I do want to. I want to go and tell Ryan Walters that he's an idiot and that the reason he films his videos in his car is because if he filmed him around other people, they would tell him he's an idiot.
Yeah. I have heard, and I'm not going to call anyone out, I have heard some surprising people rant about him, right? Like, you meet people of all kind through your family, through work, through people and people of all have different, there's people who you just don't expect to care about politics, have a very strong opinion about Walters. Right. And not just I've not heard a single person say, defend him except for Miss Elena.
And therein lies the rub, I think, is that the reason why so many people that are not into politics in general have opinions about Ryan Walters is because at the end of the day, the school system should be as apolitical as it gets. Healthcare, education, these should be apolitical things that do not operate with people at their helms that are being, voted in because they're either Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
Like this should be purely qualifications and, this man is objectively unqualified for this job.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think there's anybody except for his cronies who would argue.
Oh, and one thing we should mention about this story that we didn't get to is that the Attorney General, Gentner Drummond, basically issued like an official decision. It wasn't anything that was like bounded by law. It was just, what the DA does. I think they called it a non-binding legal opinion. Basically
that
saying
the new
you're
rules,
wasting your fucking time.
Saying that the new rule, the vote on the new rules is invalid.
Yeah, them voting on the rules itself is against the Oklahoma Constitution. Basically,
I'll try and cold read this a little. It is the opinion of the undersigned council that the legislator may delegate rulemaking authority to the board, but Section 3-104A1 does not authorize rulemaking on a specific statute or subject. Further, even if Section 3-104A1 did confer specific rulemaking authority, that subsection alone would likely violate the non-delegation doctrine, as the language does not identify legislative policy and set intelligible standards to guide the board in promulgating specific administrative rules. It basically says you can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's in the rules that you can't.
You can't just, you haven't done the work. He was like, you've got to set up guidelines. You got to, there's, you saying this is bad. A parent being like, this makes me mad is not, it's not legally a legal argument.
Yeah, you can't just be arbitrary and be like I decided and so it shall be. There's steps that must be taken to basically to ensure that somebody isn't doing exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that is install their own agenda as the public education agenda.
So I like to think that and it's good because again there's also I believe Republican and It's good seeing these people speak out against some of this, like just random hatred that comes from other Republicans. But also, it's good because like seeing an actual lawyer say this means like some of these ideas aren't going to make it far. Right.
The very end is good too. It says it therefore follows that any rule which is promulgated only using the general quote powers and duties within sections 3-104 is invalid and may not be enforced by the State Department of Education or the board.
Yeah.
So he's like, even if you pass these rules, they can't be enforced because it says that they're invalid.
Yeah. So they're wasting time, they're wasting money, and then as these go to court, like they're going to waste even more money. So I'd like to think at some point they're going to be like,
we got to get this fucking guy out of here.
Someone in the powers that be will talk to Ryan Walters and at least maybe calm him down because he's just. He's
doing this all for theater, man. It's like you said. This is he.
Totally.
The fact that he said beforehand, that it would be at a boiling point. It would reach a boiling point. That's so purposeful.
Yeah.
It's so like
the name calling. I mean, like if you're still
so
saying
slimy,
George Soros, like at some point George Soros is going to be dead. And
I'll
people
tell
are
you
still
what.
Be calling his name.
I don't know much about George Soros, but I know he doesn't give a flying fuck about Tulsa's or Oklahoma's Department of Education.
Yeah.
And what books they're putting in. God damn it.
Yeah. As if he's got a list. He's like calling Deborah Guest and being like, okay, Deb, here's what I want you to keep in the library this year.
Also, it goes back to the Manhattan DA and them calling him a Soros-backed animal.
Yeah.
There's no tangible, mind you, because there are Republicans who try and draw a line between him and George Soros. George Soros once bought a stapler that went on his desk, that thing.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that has ever tied anything from George Soros to Alvin Bragg in any way, shape, or form. Never met the man, doesn't know the man.
It's just a forever boogeyman for them.
And it's an anti-Semitic dog whistle is what it is.
Yeah, that too.
It's absolutely just throwing George Soros in there anytime is specifically to like, hey, anti-Semites, check it out, over here.
Yeah.
It's so
Sounds
bad.
like a lot of people are going to have to watch 21 Jump Street, basically.
We need the whole world to watch 21 Jump Street, especially Ryan Walters. And all these guys. Trump needs to watch it too, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just have a big White House on the lawn viewing. Let's like broadcast it like on every channel, like a 9/11 memorial.
So just another recap of the state, the bills we're watching right now. House Bill 1449, which was one that basically tries to purposely change language about gender in official documents and things like that to be exclusionary for trans people.
Yeah.
That one's going through, I believe, the House right now. SB 613, of course, and HR 2177. 2177 is the one that just passed the House and is on to the Senate and is likely to be the first to pass of these, if it is to pass. So that's coming up. Look for change.org or Freedom Oklahoma. So a lot of these places have links to some of the petitions you can sign, some of the links to your local politicians that you can call and ask them to oppose these. And again, we're using very clear language. If you call a representative, you are respectfully voicing your opposition. Do not make threats. Do not use violent rhetoric or language. Do not yell and scream at these people. Voice your opposition intelligently and succinctly, and let them know that they are representing you and your family, and that you and your family oppose this bill and bills like it. That's what we want to happen. And then, of course, also 2186 is the HR bill that will ban drag performances. So be on the lookout for that one too, and get your vocal opposition in on that as well.
For sure.
Did you have anything else for this week?
Oh man, what is coming up this week? I mean, every week is heavy, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this coming up week will obviously still be on indictment watch.
Yeah. And there's like,
Georgia indictments are still, quote, imminent.
I remember like it was more just like Russia, China, U.S. like military tension. That's just like
true.
the
Yeah,
under,
a lot
under
of
it all. It's just like, oh, here's this world war brewing up. This is
I
great.
mean,
Yeah.
It's so insane to think that that's just sort of like the B plot of our movie right now.
Yeah, like it'll be this gigantic thing
and
is
also,
happening. But let's go ahead and just talk about this other shit.
Man.
Yeah. But it's also like maybe it'll settle down, right? It's very Cold War feeling out, right? Like,
A little bit,
yeah.
but boy, the stakes are high.
oh yeah. Yeah.
So scary.
Everyone's mental health is still bad. Like you forget, like you're like, oh yeah, all my friends' mental health's bad. You forget that like, oh, also world leaders and military leaders, their health is also bad.
Yep.
Every single person. And they're making these gigantic decisions.
Yeah,
So
it's
anyway,
insane.
nothing to worry about, y'all.
Speaking of which, I'm starting a new therapist this week.
Hell yeah.
Super excited
Good
for
on
that.
you, man.
Yeah. Super excited for that. Okay. Album pick this week. Did you have one?
Oh, you go first because I do, but I need to look at a note.
This week I'm actually gonna go to one that came out. Man, it might have even been 2021 now, but it's a little band called Turnstile. Have you ever heard of them?
I think I have.
Yeah, they did an album called Glow On that I just keep going back to. It's good top to bottom. It's got a really nice little genre mix of hardcore, but with it's definitely got a little hip hop in its derivation. Not that he's like rapping. He's never like rapping, but you can tell that they like hip hop a lot. You know what I mean? How you can just hear it. Also, a lot of Latin influence on a lot of the grooves, which I love. It's really fun to hear them work that in. But that album, T to B, Glow On by Turnstile. Listen to that this week.
Hell yeah, I like it. I am turning 45 next weekend.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So I'm working on this like playlist idea where I'm picking like 2 songs from every year I was born.
Okay.
Just to kind of like make this playlist. So I was born in the year 78. So the first I'm only like chipping away at the playlist, but the first song on my playlist from 1978 is Wire's "I Am the Fly." And Wire was like a post-punk. This album came out. The album's from the album "Chairs Missing," which came out in '78. And so this is like kind of post-punk, like art punk. It's like punk with guys who went to like
the band
college.
is called Wire.
Wire, yeah. And they were very influential. They had 3 huge albums: "Chairs Missing," "Pink Flag," and another one whose name has escaped me. But I promise I'm.
What was the song you said?
The song that's on my list is "I Am the Fly."
And it's from what album?
It is from Chairs Missing album. 1978, a good year. Oh yeah, here it is right here.
We have the technology. Okay, I can dig it.
Oh yeah.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
This is the part where if you're watching it on YouTube, it's been blocked out in Belarus or wherever.
Oh yeah, the very, very strict laws there.
Okay.
Yeah. You get it.
I have a thing. I love when a singer is so British that they don't lose their accent when they sing.
Yeah.
Because singing is one of those things where you mostly lose your accent. But so there's a punk band called the Subhumans. If you've ever heard that guy, so British. Mickey Mouse is dead, gold kick in the head. I love it. I love that. So that's right up my alley.
Sweet.
I think I'm going to be listening to them.
Do it, man. You'll
That's
love
rad. Hell yeah. Okay, well, that's it for us this week. Stay mindful and stay aware, and we will see you next week. Maximum News is a production of OLA Ministries. All original music written, performed, and recorded by Kins.